Hello, my name is Bill, and in this video I'll continue with my shelf tour. So this shelf is classics, mostly Wordsworth classics. So I could do a week's worth of research so I would have something semi-intelligent to say about these books, but this is just about me going through my shelves to see what I have to read. Dubliners by James Joyce. So I read this one a couple years ago. When I started reading it, I was thinking I was reading a novel, but by the third story I realized it's stories and not a novel. So the cover illustration is a Yearban Street in Dublin by Becky Surridge, contemporary artist. So the next few Wordsworth classics here have covers by Becky Surridge. A portrait of the artist as a young man by James Joyce. So I haven't read this one yet. I only read that one James Joyce book. The rest of them are still on my TBR. Ulysses by James Joyce. This one should be an interesting read and take a little while to read. On these, I'm not giving the original publication date because they don't have that right in the front here where it's easy to find. I'd have to read all the introductions and make notes to get all the dates. Finnegans Wake, James Joyce. So, from what I've heard, this one's probably impossible to read, but it's worth giving it a try. Complete Father Brown by G.K. Chesterton. So this one is also a thick one. And this is still a Becky Surridge. So this is 796 pages. So just over half a month reading. The Lost World and Other Stories by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So I read The Lost World last year for August of Adventures. So it was an interesting read, but the other stories in here are not as interesting. The last couple I've never read. Casebook of Sherlock Holmes and His Last Bow by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So this is still a Becky Surridge cover. did all the covers on the ones I've shown so far. The Hound of the Baskervilles and the Valley of Fear by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So I read these two last year for March Mystery Madness. My TBR for March Mystery Madness last year was the first video I ever did. So I want to reread The Hound of the Baskervilles soon. Short stories are not worth reading all at once like I did last year, spending the whole month of March reading these two books. It's better to spread them out over time. So when I read a whole book of short stories, they all blend together and then I forget what they're all about. The Shadows of Sherlock Holmes. So this still Becky Surridge doing the cover. So my wife's getting into the deep freeze. So this one has Edgar Allan Poe, Wilkie Collins, Bret Harte, C.L. Perkins, Robert Barr, Anton Chekhov, Dick Donovan, Grant Allen, Guy Clifford, E.W. Hornung, Clarence Rook, Guy Boothby, Jacques Futrell, Hesketh Pritchard, Herbert Jenkins, Ernst Brahm, and Anonymous, E.W. Hornung, Baroness Orczy, so I should get to this one soon. Maybe March Mystery Madness next year. The First Men in the Moon in a Modern Utopia, H.G. Wells. I probably read The First Men in the Moon in the early 70s. I know I read lots of H.G. Wells back then, but it's hard remembering for sure which all of them were. And also I read Jules Verne, many Jules Verne in the early 70s. Journey to the Center of the Earth. This one, the cover is Nathan Clare. This one, the cover is Carolyn Arcabazio. Round the World in 80 Days and 5 Weeks in a Balloon. So I'm sure all three of these are ones I read in early 70s. The cover is Nathan Clare. Tess of the Dubervilles by Thomas Hardy. So I read this one last year. It was a very enjoyable read, but in a way it's a tragic story that everything goes wrong for Tess. That book is about the double standards for men and women, and sometimes this was sometime in the 1800s, but Tess was sexually assaulted, and that basically ruined the rest of her life because of how society and everyone around her responds to her, and also the way it affected her mental well-being. Woodlanders by Thomas Hardy. So this one, cover was Lisa Graw Jensen. This one, cover illustration detail of Waverly Oaks 1864 by Winslow Homer. So the only Hardy I've read so far is Tess of the D'Urbervilles. So I still have more Hardy to read. So the playlist today, sounds of ambient post-rock. So that's all for this video. See you in the next one.